Shabbat Shalom. Bienvenidos. ¿Cómo se va? Welcome. Are you a world traveler? Your DNA, that small, indivisible part of you, has traveled through many continents. Some of those continents my DNA has traveled: France, Spain, Africa, Israel, and there are a few more.
It's Disneyland too.
If you think that you have not been around the world, physically you are correct. But you carry the DNA of your ancestors, who hundreds, maybe thousands of years before you have traveled, just like mine. And my ancestors, this is the result. I grew up in a time where families got together. People had barbecues. We sang, we danced. Some of our relatives would play the drums, others a guitar. My mother would play the piano. I'm going to give you a little taste of my mother's piano. Now, this is a recording that was on a cassette tape. If those of you don't know what a cassette tape is, ask your grandparents, okay? And my son recorded it for me here. Those of you that knew my mom, what did she like to play? Boogie woogie, that's right. All right. Boogie Woogie too, and Mom always wanted to play in front of an audience. Now my dad was quite the crooner. My dad sang with a band when he was younger called the Pablo Banuelos Band. They also sang on the radio. Unfortunately, I did not inherit any of my parents' musical talent. I could not play an instrument. I could not sing. In fact, my husband Ted, I told him one time jokingly that I was going to go on The Voice on TV. My husband looked me straight in the face and he said, "Use your maiden name." He laughed, I didn't. My mother. My mother was involved in many community projects while I was growing up. She started a group called the Busy Bees for local children to help keep them off the streets. She also started Ladies Home Craft Circle, a newspaper article from the Bakersfield, California, read as follows. Objects of the circle are to promote goodwill among mothers, friends, and neighbors. During its first year, the group has devoted many hours to charity, and scores of young people and adults have been brought a little happiness through its efforts. A junior division recently was formed called Busy Bees. The children are taught citizenship, kindness, obedience, and crafts. Mom was also PTA president of Jefferson Elementary School. Any Jefferson students? 1964 through 1965, Mom received a letter of congratulations from the U.S. House of Representatives, then Congressman Harlan Hagan. In 1988, Mom was a guest speaker at the American Businesswomen's Association. Due to the fact that she has started her own business, Lydia's Surprise Shop, and Lady Godet Florals. My mom made bridal bouquets. In fact, I have a couple on my table when you go by and take a look. When the first Bakersfield Boys Club, which was on Alta Vista, started, Mom organized a ladies group to help with the functions and donations. When she was older, and after the passing of my dad, she became involved with Senior Citizen Group. I believe it's now called Prado, across from Heritage. She was a pioneer in her own right. After all, it was in her blood. Mom was the granddaughter of Alex Godet. Alex Godet is a known pioneer of Kern County. How many of you have heard of him? Born 1819 to Juan Maria Godet and Salis Villacure Godet at Brent Tard. Parents who migrated from France into Canada and then into Missouri, where my great-grandfather was born. Godet ventured out to the West, where through his life was a trapper, and because of the fact he could speak several native languages, he was a guide. He was a hunter, a soldier, a gold miner, a rancher, and settled lands and properties. Godet could not read nor write. So his adventures and historical accomplishments are documented through the journals of other Kern County pioneers. In 1843, Godet encountered such people as John C. Fremont, Kit Carson, and also Edward Beale and General Kearney. In fact, Godet was a pallbearer to Beale's wife's funeral. Godet led expeditions through the San Joaquin Valley, Tehachapi, San Diego, Nevada, Missouri, the Sierras, and New Mexico. And if you have families in those areas, we might be related. Godet was instrumental in surveying lands that developed Walker Pass, Tejon Canyon, Grapevine Canyon, the railway into Tehachapi, and in 1852, he developed the Godet Ferry to cross the San Joaquin River. He only did that for a year. Two stories that were written about Godet that come to mind. One of them, when he was leading a group across the snows, and they ran out of food. Godet killed mules and dogs and fed it to them so they could survive. Another one was he was at the ranch, and his foreman had a glass eye. Well, the workers were a little bit too slow in working. So Godet took the foreman's glass eye out, set it on a rock, and said, "I'm watching you." Didn't have a problem after that. Godet was a rancher in Cuyama Valley, where he lived. Then he went back to San Emilio and finally gave up ranching, moving to what is now called the Godet Tract in Bakersfield. Godet died in 1889 in a hospital in Los Angeles. A man who traveled all over died from the scratch of a lion. A circus had come to Bakersfield, and from what I understand, he went to pet the lion and scratched him, and he developed sepsis. So they took him to Los Angeles, where he passed away. William Skinner brought him back to Bakersfield, where my great-grandfather is currently buried in Union Cemetery, and there's a monument to him to this day. So he died in 1889. Godey had 5 documented marriages. Documented. And many other women who loved him. One of whom was my great-grandmother, Apollonia Calzania. From Godey and Apollonia came my grandfather, Alex Godey Jr. Alex Godey Jr. married Nicolosa Francis Munoz. Their children, Albert Godey, Jess Godey, Felipa Godey Romero, Teresa Godey Lugo, my mother, Lydia Godet Hernandez, and Alexandra Godet, who she died as an infant. Children of my mother's first marriage, Mary Garcia, Frank Garcia, and Ralph Garcia. My mother afterwards met my father, Abelino Hernandez. Abelino. And then that's when I came. Evelyn Marie Hernandez, my brother, where is hiding? Over here. David Hernandez. Now my dad. My dad was a World War II veteran. He served as a medic. He worked for PG&E for 30 years as a light crew foreman. He volunteered as a JVA coach. He was a Cub Scout leader and organized a drill team for the Boys Club, and they won many awards. Dad, in his younger years, sang in the Pablo Banuelos band. Of the many memories I have of my dad, 2 stick out the most. One, we were young, barely enough to sit on Dad's knee, and he would say, he'd look at us, "Mija, you see this up here?" And it was a little flap of skin from when he was in the army. And so, that bullet grazed his forehead. He said, "I'm a Jupiterian." So, for a few years, my brother and I grew up believing Dad was a Jupiterian until he laughed and finally told us the truth. Many times as I was growing up, my dad would tell me, "Mija, don't forget, our Hernandez family was part of a colony from Spain." And he would repeat this over and over and over. So I grew up searching, looking for this Hernandez colony. Do you know that I found it just this month, this year? 30 years, but I found it. And it was called the San Jose de los Hernandez in Sativo, in Chihuahua. I knew Dad was right. My dad's family came from Spain and settled in Mexico. My grandfather, Feliciano Fuentes Hernandez's parents, were Jesus Hernandez, Maria Isabel Hernandez, and unfortunately they were killed when my grandfather was young. So he was raised by his grandparents, Segundino Federico and Romana Federico. The children of Feliciano and Romana Hernandez are Juana Hernandez Portillo. Cousin Raymond, raise your hand. He's from that bloodline. Paul Hernandez, Esperanza Hernandez, Soledad Hernandez Ornelas, and Theophil. Raise your hand. Phil, by the way, was in the mariachis. There's a picture of him back there. Mariachi Los Olmos. After the death of my grandmother, Mariachi Olmos, okay. Yeah, we got to get it right because if somebody goes looking for that, they're not going to find it, okay? After the death of Feliciano's wife, he married Clotilde. 3 children came from that marriage: Eddie Hernandez, Gloria Hernandez Saldana, and Louis Hernandez. Genealogy is the study of ancestral lines. I'd like to thank my Uncle Phil, my cousins Vivian and Phil Jr. I'd like to thank my cousin Ramon Leiva and those that helped me in my venture, in my research. Thank you for allowing me to share my family with all of you.
Where'd she get that? Where's she?